Joe Biden and some close advisors had a meeting in Camp David this past weekend to discuss Biden's future in the race. The Biden family was there, and the Biden family rallied around the president, urging him to stay in the race. The president spent Sunday with the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, as well as his children. They were trying to find a way to reassure Democrats that he is the best person to defeat Donald Trump, despite the fact, again, that he put on such an awful, indisputably awful performance. Some members of his family uh, were critical of how ill prepared he was, meaning they weren't blaming Biden, they were blaming Biden advisors. They were starting to say Biden's advisors had to be fired. He said if he looks that bad and he's that ill prepared, gotta be the advisors. I'll tell you something. Family sometimes can be your backbone. They can be your support. They can treat you and love you and care for you and protect you better than anybody else. And then sometimes your family be at the talent show, you know what I'm saying? Crying, cheering for you, having you thinking that little Kiki could dance and she can't dance. Little Jamal could sing some notes. He can't sing. Not really. Baby, you can be anything you want. You could be no, you can't. You can't be no doctor. Nobody will let you be a doctor. You could be my doctor. Not you. Not you, Jim. And the family right now is telling President Biden that he can still be president for 4 more years. That he didn't do poorly in the debate. That the team did poorly in the debate. That the reason he looked like he knew what he was talking about wasn't because he didn't know what he was talking about. It's because they didn't give him the right notes. Let me tell you something. I can't speak to the level of preparation Joe Biden got from his team. I can't. I wasn't there. But here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that anybody who has been in the Senate for decades, anybody who's been a 2-term vice president, anybody who was a full-term president should be able to respond to what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump wasn't getting into the weeds of policy. He wasn't doing nuanced breakdowns of foreign affairs. He was saying very basic Trumpy stuff. The same basic Trumpy stuff that Trump was saying 4 years ago. You know what the difference was? Biden had an answer for it. And yeah, some of it is pre-programmed and you wrap it and you do your thing. But a lot of it, I got to tell you, was just Biden being Uncle Joe. But that's gone. The charm is gone. That dazzling smile is gone. There would be a time where Trump would say something crazy, something dishonest. He lies every 90 seconds or something like that. And Joe would shake his head and have an answer. Or if he hit Joe Biden with a jab that connected well, was actually accurate, he would do that thing where he looks at his notes and just smiles. As if it's so ridiculous he's not going to comment on it, even though it's because he actually did it. Biden had none of that. He looked lost. And confused. And the Biden family is doing a gross act of negligence by not telling him that. Now, they might not be telling them because they don't see it. Sometimes you don't realize it. I, rest in peace to my father, took a second to realize my dad was slowing down. My dad died 3 years ago now, a little over 3.5 years ago now. And he died at the age of 91. At 85, my dad was slowing down. He was forgetting things. He was repeating himself. He stayed in bed a little bit long. The things happen. And my mom was like, your dad's slowing down. I didn't see it for a little bit. And then things start to happen. It happens with all aging people. Your family doesn't always see it first. It's the person who hasn't seen him in 5 years or 10 years that says, oh, wait a minute, you look different, you act different, you sound different, you move different, you think different. We don't see a lot of Joe Biden anymore, and now I know why. But when he showed up for that debate, we got that flashpoint. We got that 5-year or 4-year differential. We got oh, wait a minute, that ain't the Joe I knew before. But maybe the family doesn't see it because they see him every day. Maybe they're used to people doing some thinking for him and planning for him and reminding for him. So maybe they don't know. Or maybe they say he slipped a little bit, but he can still do the job. The problem with that thinking is the slips here don't be, or I should say, don't be, the slips that happen can be precipitous. In basketball, we talk about the aging point guard in that way, right? Like the point guard, you slip a little bit in your 30, in your 25, 26, 27, 28. At 30, you're at the end of your run as a great point guard, and you lose a step, but you can still play. The problem is between 30 and 33, you lose a lot of steps. You lose a lot of steps. And when you lose the lot of steps, that's when the problems come. That's when the dangers come. And I'm worried that similarly, Biden now looks like a step slow, like that 30-year-old point guard that can still play, but just is not quite as good as he used to be. And I'm worried that what will happen is that a year from now or 6 months from now, the drop will be even more precipitous. That it will go from being, um, they'll go from being like just a little bit slow to being maybe terrible, maybe terrible. And it's the maybe terrible part that I'm scared of, because it's easy to say, oh, he can get a vice president, oh, he can get a such and such a step in. No, it's not. That's not it. If Biden is slipping and doesn't know that he's slipping, what does that mean for national security? What does that mean for policy making? What does that mean for leadership? This is not a small thing. He needs to exit the building as soon as possible. And as I said on Friday, it's a tough situation to be in. Gavin Newsom is probably the best person to carry the mantle and actually win. He's got the presence, the popularity, the look, the sound. And America loves to elect white men. White men are like what, 45-1 in presidential prize fights? Makes sense. Problem is, you have to skip Kamala Harris, and black folk ain't gonna let you skip Kamala Harris. Gavin Newsom running or replacing Biden would look like a disaster, because black people would rightly say you've circumvented the person who's supposed to be most qualified, which is the vice president. So then you say, well, pick Kamala Harris. Well, Kamala Harris can't win. In this election, this year, Kamala Harris would not win, and I don't think anybody thinks otherwise. So if Kamala Harris can't win, and Gavin Newsom won't run, so he won't win, what are you left with? You're left with a mess. You're left with a mess. Democrats have created a mess, and the mess is created because Joe Biden didn't leave earlier, because Joe Biden didn't step back sooner. And it's because of people like his family. It's because of people who are advisors who, again, may have good intentions, or they can have cynical intentions. They may say, you know what, we don't care if he don't know where he is. He might think he's in the boom boom room right now. He don't know he in the White House. We still want him instead of Trump. Or we want the power, because the other way is still noble. We just want the power. We want to be a two-term president. We care about the legacy. What's your legacy going to look like if you're the first president to be impeached and removed from office? Or you're the first president who has to step down for these types of things. You don't want that on your legacy. Why don't we make the best of what's left? The horse is already out of the barn. But contrary to what people say, horses can't go back into barns. Let's see if we can do that. Let's talk to the family. Let's talk to the advisors, and let's get Joe Biden to step back, step away. And even though it's messy with Newsom and Harris, work out something. And I gave a solution on Friday. Go back and watch. Work out something that will get us a better solution than what we got.